The galaxy's most prestigious event was about to begin, the Great Galactic Shooting Competition. Species from across the stars gathered on the central planet to showcase their skills. It was a chance for each race to prove their superiority in weaponry, precision, and combat tactics. This year, humanity had entered the contest, though many thought they were out of their league. The humans, led by Commander Anna Stevens, were the underdogs. Their weapons were simple, nothing like the advanced plasma cannons or laser-guided tech the other species possessed. Most aliens regarded them as weak, a species too young and unrefined to compete in such an event. The humans themselves had no expectations of winning, they just wanted to show that they could participate, that they had a place in the galaxy. As the event began, the humans took their places alongside the other species, each waiting for their turn to fire. The alien competitors chuckled at the sight of the human guns, clunky, mechanical, and old-fashioned compared to the sleek, futuristic weapons of the other races. The humans seemed like easy targets for ridicule. The first round started, and the humans fired their weapons. The shots missed by a wide margin. The audience, composed of various alien species, erupted in laughter. How could these primitive beings think they could compete with the greatest marksmen in the galaxy? The aliens whispered to each other, pointing and mocking the humans' poor performance. But Commander Stevens remained calm. She knew something the others didn't. Her team's strategy was simple, but it was something the aliens would never expect. The humans weren't trying to hit the targets at all. They weren't aiming to score points in the competition, they were aiming for something much more important: the alien ships. Every miss was intentional. Every shot that seemed to veer off course was actually a carefully calculated move to plant tiny devices on the alien vessels. The humans had designed small, undetectable trackers that could attach themselves to any surface. The trackers were built to send back important data locations, ship movements, and even weak points in the alien technology. To the humans, the competition was just a cover for a much larger mission. As the rounds continued, the human team fired again and again. And each time, they missed by miles. The alien competitors, still laughing, began to see humanity as a joke. The humans couldn't even hit a target, let alone compete in the same league as the other races. The crowd's jeers grew louder, their confidence in their own superiority soaring. But Commander Stevens and her team remained focused. Each shot they took was more than just a failure, it was a calculated move. As the humans fired, their trackers latched onto the alien ships, sending vital information back to their hidden network. Every ship that passed through the humans' line of fire had something attached to it, something that would later give them the advantage. By the time the competition reached its final rounds, the humans were still at the bottom of the standings. Their poor aim had earned them ridicule, but the alien fleets were beginning to feel an odd sense of unease. Some of the alien commanders had started to notice small glitches in their systems, nothing major, but enough to make them suspicious. Communications became sporadic, and some weapons systems were failing to charge properly. It was then that the true plan of the humans became clear. The human team had not just been firing blindly. Their so-called misses had been a brilliant distraction. As the last round began, the aliens noticed a strange pattern. Their ships were malfunctioning in ways they couldn't explain. It started with minor errors, like navigation delays and power fluctuations. But soon, whole ships were freezing up in space, their engines failing. Weapons that had once been unstoppable were now useless. The humans' tracking devices had done their job. They were causing system failures across the alien fleets. What had seemed like random shots were actually calculated moves to infiltrate and disrupt the alien technology. The trackers had slowly disabled the ships, rendering them ineffective. The humans had managed to hack into the very systems the aliens thought were perfect, exploiting their weaknesses without ever firing a direct shot. Now the alien competitors were in a panic. Their once pristine ships were no longer working. Weapon systems were down, shields were flickering, and critical communications had been disrupted. They tried to make sense of the chaos, but it was too late. The humans had outsmarted them all. As the competition came to an end, the humans were declared the winners not because they were the best shots, but because they had outwitted the other species. The alien commanders who had laughed at the humans for their bad aim were now the ones facing defeat. The humans had won the contest without hitting a single target. Commander Stevens stood proudly, her team by her side, as the galaxy watched in stunned silence. The humans had done the impossible. They had turned their apparent failure into the greatest victory of all. The aliens, once so sure of their superiority, now realized the truth. The humans weren't weak, they were clever. They had used their bad aim to infiltrate and disable the most advanced technology in the galaxy. What the aliens had seen as weakness was, in fact, a brilliant strategy. The crowd that had mocked them was now silent. The humans had not only won the contest, but they had earned the respect of every species in the galaxy. The balance of power had shifted, and humanity had shown that, even with simple technology, they could take control when it mattered most. And with that, the humans made their mark on the galaxy not through firepower, but through intelligence and strategy. The Great Galactic Shooting Contest was the most prestigious event in the galaxy. Species from across the stars gathered to showcase their best weapons, each hoping to prove they were the superior race. The best marksmen from every corner of the galaxy competed, and the prize was not just fame, but the respect of all. It was a battle of skill, precision, and advanced technology. But there was one problem. Humans were the underdogs. They were an insignificant species compared to the other, more advanced races. Their weapons were old-fashioned, basic compared to the plasma rifles and laser cannons of the alien competitors. Most people believed they stood no chance, and many of the galaxy's elite laughed at the humans' participation. The alien competitors mocked the humans' poor aim as they took their first shots, their weapons causing a slight tremor in the air. Every shot the humans fired missed by a wide margin, hitting nothing but empty space. The aliens couldn't help but snicker. Their own weapons were so precise and powerful, they could hit a target from miles away. To them, humanity's attempts were a joke. Commander Rachel Hayes, the leader of the human team, stood firm. She knew that the humans weren't here to win with brute force or precision. Instead, they had a far more intelligent plan. While everyone else was focused on the targets, the humans weren't aiming at them at all. They weren't trying to hit anything. The competition was brutal. The first round saw the humans miss spectacularly. The other competitors, aliens from races centuries ahead in technology, watched and laughed. The humans' guns, large and clunky, seemed like a child's toy compared to the sleek weapons of their competitors. Some of the aliens began making bets, sure that the humans would be eliminated quickly. "Look at them," one of the alien commanders sneered, turning to his comrade. "They can't even hit a stationary target. They'll be gone by the second round." But Commander Hayes and her team weren't discouraged. Every miss wasn't a failure, it was part of the plan. As the humans fired, they studied the alien ships carefully. They weren't aiming to score points in the competition. Instead, they were using their shots to gather information. The humans were testing the alien fleets, trying to learn how their ship's shields worked, how their weapons systems responded to different types of energy, and whether there were any weaknesses they could exploit. With each round, the humans continued to miss. Some shots flew off into space, while others hit nothing but empty air. The aliens continued to laugh and mock the humans, believing them to be hopeless. But unbeknownst to the other competitors, every failure had a purpose. The human team had modified their weapons. Each shot released not just energy, but a special signal, a form of electromagnetic pulse designed to interact with the shields and systems of the alien ships. With every miss, they were testing the defenses of their opponents, slowly learning how to breach them. The more the humans missed, the more information they gathered. The aliens, busy with their own high-tech weapons, didn't realize that the humans were mapping their defenses at T first. The alien commanders were confused. A few ships reported minor glitches in their shields. Something was off, but it wasn't enough to raise any alarms. As the rounds continued, the errors became more noticeable. The alien ship's shields started to flicker during certain shots. The weapons systems began to stutter. Some ships even reported small power failures. The humans had done it. They were slowly cracking the alien technology, one shot at a time. The human team wasn't just firing randomly. Each shot was aimed to probe for weaknesses. Commander Hayes had instructed her team to pay attention to everything, the slightest flicker in a shield, the smallest hesitation in an alien weapon's response. The human misses were no accidents. They were well-planned distractions, designed to gather intelligence. As the competition entered its final rounds, the human strategy started to pay off. The alien fleets, once confident in their superiority, began to lose control of their systems. Ships that had once seemed invincible were starting to malfunction. The alien commanders couldn't understand what was happening. Their fleets, the most powerful in the galaxy, were slowly being taken down, not by firepower, but by something far more insidious. Shields began to fail, one after another. The aliens were unable to hold their positions, their ships faltering under the pressure of their own defenses being disabled. Weapons that had once been so reliable began to misfire or shut down entirely. The alien fleets were confused, their pride and arrogance slowly turning into panic. They had no idea that the humans had spent the entire competition probing for flaws. Commander Hayes smiled to herself. The humans weren't shooting to win, they were shooting to expose weaknesses. Every shot, every miss, had been carefully calculated to find a way to disable the alien technology. And now, it was working. The human team wasn't just surviving, they were winning by default. The alien fleets had been rendered ineffective. In the final moments of the contest, as the last alien ship struggled to stay operational, Commander Hayes stepped forward to reveal the truth. The humans had never been bad shots. They had never been aiming for the targets. Their poor aim had been a brilliant, hidden strategy. The reason we missed every time, Hayes said to the gathered crowd, was because we weren't trying to hit the targets. We were testing your weaknesses. While you thought we were failing, we were learning. We've been disabling your fleets, one shot at a time. The aliens stood in stunned silence. They had underestimated the humans. They had thought the humans' technology was outdated, their strategy simple. But the humans had used intelligence, observation, and clever tactics to outsmart the most powerful races in the galaxy. And so, the humans won the competition not by precision or strength, but by using their minds. They had turned what looked like failure into an extraordinary victory, proving that intelligence and strategy could defeat even the most advanced technology in the galaxy. The alien competitors, once so certain of their superiority, were left speechless. The humans had taken the crown, not through force, but by exposing their enemies' vulnerabilities. The galaxy now knew one thing for sure: humans were not to be underestimated. The Galactic Alliance had organized the most intense military training event the galaxy had ever seen. It was designed to test the readiness of different species for the future defense of the galaxy, and every major race in the galaxy was represented. The most advanced alien fleets, equipped with powerful weapons, fast ships, and cutting-edge technology, stood poised to dominate the war games. Among them was humanity, represented by Sergeant Mark Reynolds and his hand-picked team of soldiers. The humans, armed with older weapons and simple ships, were the clear underdogs in this contest. While their enemies had the most advanced tech imaginable, the humans relied on strategy and ingenuity. Sergeant Reynolds was confident in his team, but he knew they would be mocked. The other species thought of humans as primitive, and their weapons seemed like toys compared to the alien tech. The war games were simple. Each team was tasked with attacking and defending in various simulations, testing their ability to react under pressure. The goal was not just to defeat the opposing fleet, but to demonstrate superior strategy, coordination, and combat skills. For the humans, this would be their chance to prove themselves, despite being ridiculed for their primitive methods. The first few rounds were tough for the human team. As soon as the war games began, it became clear that they were far behind in terms of technology. The human ships, large and bulky, lacked the speed and agility of the alien fleets. The weapons on their ships were slower to fire, and every shot seemed to miss by a wide margin. Meanwhile, the alien fleets fired with pinpoint accuracy, hitting their targets with incredible precision. Sergeant Reynolds' team fought hard, but every time they fired, their shots veered off course. The aliens began laughing, mockingly calling the humans weapons toys and primitive. Commander Aileron, the leader of the T-Archean fleet, turned to his fellow commanders with a smirk. "They still haven't hit a target," Aileron chuckled. "What a waste of time. These humans are no threat. The other commanders laughed along, not realizing that Sergeant Reynolds and his team were playing a different game. While the alien fleets were focused on the competition's goal-hitting targets, the humans were focused on something far more important: the weaknesses in the alien fleet's defenses. Despite their poor aim, Sergeant Reynolds knew exactly what he and his team were doing. Every missed shot was a calculated move. They weren't aiming at the targets at all. Instead, the humans were deliberately targeting the alien ship's weak spots: their energy cores, shield generators, and communication systems. Every shot that appeared to miss was actually designed to test the alien ship's defenses. As the war games progressed, the alien commanders began to notice strange anomalies. Some of their shield systems flickered or shut down for a brief moment after certain human shots. The alien ship's weapons began to misfire, their targeting systems locking onto incorrect coordinates. Some of the fleets even reported random power surges and system glitches. But the alien commanders were too proud to admit they were being outwitted. Instead of noticing the pattern, they chalked it up to coincidence or to the primitive nature of the human ships. What they didn't know was that Sergeant Reynolds' team had been planting micro-disruptors, small devices that attached to the alien ships every time they missed a target. These disruptors interfered with the alien technology, subtly sabotaging their shields and power systems without anyone noticing. By the time the final round of the simulation approached, the human team's strategy had begun to take full effect. The alien fleets were starting to fall apart from the inside out. Shields were down, weapons malfunctioned, and communication lines were scrambled. The once pristine alien ships were now disoriented, unable to maintain their high level of efficiency. Sergeant Reynolds smiled as he saw the shift. The humans hadn't needed to be the best shots. They just needed to outsmart the aliens. Their strategy had worked. The alien commanders, once so confident in their superiority, were now scrambling to fix their fleet systems. In the final moments of the simulation, the human team made their move. With the alien fleets in disarray, their systems barely functional, Sergeant Reynolds ordered his team to engage. The humans struck decisively, exploiting the weaknesses they had carefully uncovered. Commander Aileron, now furious and flustered, attempted to lead his fleet in a counterattack, but the alien ships were no longer able to fire with accuracy. Their shields were useless, and their weapons misfired every time. The humans, having disabled their enemy's technology, had the upper hand. When the simulation ended, the alien fleets were defeated not by superior firepower, but by clever tactics. The human team had not fired a single shot directly at the targets, yet they had won. Sergeant Reynolds and his team stood victorious, their ships still intact, while the alien fleets lay in disarray. As the other commanders realized what had happened, a heavy silence fell over the room. The aliens had been completely outsmarted. They had laughed at the humans' so-called bad aim, but in reality, the humans had never been trying to hit the targets. They had been targeting the very weaknesses of the alien fleets, systematically disabling their technology. Commander Aileron, now visibly humbled, turned to Sergeant Reynolds and offered a grudging respect. "It seems we underestimated you," he admitted. "Your aim wasn't bad, it was perfect. You exploited our weaknesses without ever firing a shot at the target. We've learned a valuable lesson today." The other alien commanders nodded, their arrogance shattered. They had thought the humans were nothing more than a primitive species, unworthy of their time. But now they understood. The humans had won not through better weapons or precision, but through strategy and intelligence. The human team walked away from the simulation, not just as victors, but as a symbol of what intelligence and strategy could accomplish, even against the most advanced technology. They had turned what the aliens thought was a weakness into their greatest strength. Their bad aim had been a perfect shot, one that had secured their victory and earned the respect of the galaxy. In the end, Sergeant Mark Reynolds didn't need to prove that humans were better marksmen. They proved they could outsmart even the most powerful fleets in the galaxy. The Great Galactic Shooting Competition was the most anticipated event in the galaxy. It was held every decade, and warriors from all species gathered to compete in a display of skill, precision, and strength. The competition was fierce, with each participant boasting advanced weaponry and technology far beyond anything humanity had. The goal was simple: hit the target with perfect precision. The best warriors were to be crowned as the elite of the galaxy. But this time, humanity, represented by a small team of soldiers, had entered the competition, and no one thought they stood a chance. Sergeant Leo Carson and his team of human soldiers stood nervously at the edge of the competition arena. Their weapons were outdated, old-fashioned rifles and pistols that seemed laughable compared to the sleek, energy-based weapons wielded by their alien competitors. The crowd, made up of hundreds of spectators from different planets, chuckled as the humans prepared to take their first shots. The competition began, and the humans took their turn. Sergeant Carson aimed carefully, but his shot veered off to the left, hitting nothing but empty space. The crowd erupted in laughter. The other competitors, a mix of towering insectoids, sleek feline warriors, and powerful cyborgs, exchanged amused glances. It was clear these humans didn't stand a chance. One by one, the human team took their shots, but each one missed by a wide margin. The crowd grew louder with laughter. Some of the alien competitors even mocked the humans, shaking their heads as their advanced weapons hit the targets with perfect precision. The humans were an embarrassment. How could they expect to compete against the best warriors in the galaxy with such primitive weapons? "They're just here to make us look good," one alien warrior sneered, laughing with his comrades. "It's almost too easy." Sergeant Carson, however, remained calm. He knew exactly what he was doing. Every time he missed, it was part of the plan. The rest of the galaxy might see the humans as foolish and unskilled, but Carson and his team had something that no one else had, a brilliant, hidden strategy. As the competition progressed, the humans continued to miss, but each shot was not truly a failure. With every shot that went astray, the human soldiers were secretly tagging the alien ships with tiny tracking devices. These devices were almost invisible, placed in key spots on the alien ships as the humans missed the target. The human weapons, though outdated, had been carefully modified to fire special energy pulses that could attach these devices to the alien ships without the alien competitors realizing it. The devices the humans were using weren't just trackers, they were sophisticated interference tools capable of disrupting the alien technology. Every time a human missed, they were planting a device that would, at the right moment, disable the alien ship's systems. The aliens were oblivious to this. They thought they were watching a team of poor shots fail miserably, but in reality, the humans were systematically weakening their opponents. The human team didn't need to hit the targets. They didn't need to win based on precision shooting. They had a much bigger plan in mind, one that involved taking control of the competition itself without anyone realizing what was happening until it was too late. As the final round of the competition approached, the humans' bad aim continued to distract the aliens. The alien competitors grew increasingly overconfident. They laughed and mocked the humans, believing their victory was already secured. They didn't realize that the humans' earlier failures had been part of a carefully orchestrated attack. Every missed shot had been a step closer to achieving their true goal. Then, as the final round began, something strange happened. The alien ships, which had once been so powerful, began to malfunction. First, the shields on one of the alien ships flickered and went down. Then, another alien ship lost power to its weapons systems. Communication between the alien fleets began to scramble, and their movements grew erratic. The alien warriors were confused and began to panic. "What's happening?" one of the alien commanders demanded, trying to regain control of his fleet. But it was too late. The devices the humans had planted were now fully activated. They had silently infiltrated the alien technology, disabling the ship's shields, scrambling their communications, and disabling their weapons. The once proud alien fleets were now helpless. The humans, who'd been mocked and ridiculed for their poor shooting, stood victorious. They hadn't hit the target in the traditional sense, but they had done something far more important. They had taken control of the battlefield. The humans had used their intelligence, patience, and clever strategy to turn the tables on their much stronger competitors. As the final round ended, and the alien ships sputtered and failed, Sergeant Carson stood tall. The aliens finally realized the truth: those misses had never been mistakes. The humans had used their bad shooting as a cover to carry out their master plan. The alien fleets, once so confident in their superiority, had been outsmarted by the humans' brilliant tactics. The human team had won. The alien competitors, once dismissive and mocking, now stood in stunned silence. They had underestimated the humans, laughed at their primitive weapons, and thought of them as nothing more than a joke. But the humans had proven them wrong. We were outplayed, muttered one of the alien commanders, his voice filled with disbelief. We never saw it coming. Sergeant Carson gave a small smile. Sometimes it's not about being the best shot, he said. It's about knowing how to use what you have. The humans had won not through brute strength or superior technology, but through strategy, cunning, and a brilliant plan that none of their competitors could have ever predicted. And now, the galaxy knew one thing for certain: humans were a force to be reckoned with.